Hey everybody, TSG. Kurt Holfreiter here, and I'm here for the July 20-minute challenge. This challenge is going to be kind of focusing on the different concept of utilizing combination cuts. So a lot of times when we talk about combination cutting, we usually see someone cut and they cut right around into the other upper quarter. But we completely deny ourselves the lower quarter, or entries into the upper quarter utilizing different variants of cuts. So this one's really going to be focusing on compound cutting, and then later on I have a drill. I'm also going to talk a little bit about utilizing the non-intuitive step, that is cutting over, like you see a lot of times when it comes down to the zwerchau before you land the point into zwerchau. Having that kind of cut dynamic, which allows for a lot of chambering within your lower body and your core to land thrusts or additional cuts. And then finally, I have a nasty thing that you can do. It's really indicative about speed and ability to move forward you can make it like a suicide drill as far as going back and forth, or shuttle runs, or whatever you want to do. So that's what this challenge is going to be. And before we get started, we are going to talk about as far as our warming up. So in the warming up here, just as any other time, we really are going to focus big time on this right here, as far as our shoulders, our chest, and our core, as well as our hip area and our legs. So just like in the other videos, utilizing leg hinges, forward, side to side, on both legs, and then doing the same thing as well, forward, and then side to side on that leg. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to do ankle rotations, which is very simply going this way, getting the leg engaged, and then going the opposite direction, just kind of warming it up. We're not going to do anything crazy about pushing here, but these are areas we're going to be focusing on as far as the technique. And then do, of course, the other leg. From here, we can go into air squats. So it'll be much more along the lines of just doing, once again, your typical air squats. You can do this with sword in hand, you can do it out in hand, it does not matter. Lunges, but this time when you lunge, we're going to be focusing on having the 90-degree angle, but it's going to be a two-part lunge. So the first lunge is going to be lunge, lunge, and hold, and push back up. Switch leg, lunge, lunge, notice the leg is straight, and hold. We want to get our hip flexors engaged in this. Next thing we're going to do is grabbing our hands together here, hands out in front of us, bring it out and bringing it in. This is not one of my own original ones. Actually, this was something I've seen Chris Nolan doing some of his stuff as far as training goes. It's a great drill for warming up the hands. So out, in, and out, and in, and switch, out, in. Next thing we're going to be doing, as far as our wrist rotations, again, hands out in front of us, coming down, getting a good motion this way, and then switching back the other way. Shoulder rotations, getting larger, and then going the other way. Okay, so those are the larger things as far as what we're going to be talking about for just kind of warming up there. You can do push-ups, anything else, or you employ some other things that you have seen within the other 20-minute challenges for you to warm yourself up for fighting. The last thing we're going to, so we're new. I'm sorry. Next we're going to be moving into our blade work, and as far as the warm-up drills for that. Again, as always, I'm going to continue to do this because I think it's very important to have our forearms strong. Is to simply raise up and down as such. Again, the more advanced you get, you can go up and down as you see fit. Switching hands, same concept. Okay. You're going to want to do your windmills as well in this situation. We will be playing with as far as our shoulders go, building our hips more into play. Angling it in different directions so you have the unter and the oberhau. true and false edge cuts as you see fit. Warm up that way. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're not going to be doing our sword cyclones because this isn't really about, you can if you wish to, but I mean that's not the next one I'm going to push on this. The next one is going to be, and I'm at the back up so you can see this, it's going to be an ab workout routine. And again, if you can't do it, I'm going to show 3 variants of this. The first is going to be the easiest form as far as what you can do for yourself, and then I'm going to work yourself up to much more of an advanced piece. What I want to trigger and engage here is you need to have your abdominal region able to twist and move along with your shoulders in action. And we're going to get to that here shortly. So starting off, the beginning one is simply going to be as you can tell, if you bring your feet up here, put your hands here, and you go this way. But instead of just pushing out, I want you to move back and forth. You can retract. So that's the level 1 variant of it all. The next level is going to be utilizing the sword. Similar, but you can put your feet on the ground and you can perform cuts in between. So that'll be the level 2 variant if you're able to go beyond that. So as you can see in that, I'm twisting my core as I'm performing those cuts. A lot of strength coming from that area, not just in the shoulder space. The last variant, if you're able to pull it off, is doing the same thing, combination of the first and the second, but it's me with your feet off the deck, which is simply this. So again, as you can tell in that, what we're doing is strengthening the core base, allowing ourselves to have the whole body dynamics. You're almost seeing myself as kind of going like opposite of each other. It's like corkscrewing, which is going to be very important as far as these cuts are concerned that we're going to be going into. So once you've warmed up those pieces, and again, do them to your ability, just have it as you see fit. I can do anywhere from 10 to 20 to whatever I feel like I'm doing that day. So do sets or 1 full set, whatever the case may be. And of course, if you start feeling sharp pain, stop immediately and seek medical attention. So this is really, like I said, it's going to be about compound cutting, but not just over to over. There's other combinations we have out there. And a lot of times when people just simply do over to over, it becomes, wait, and I have opening right there that I can counter on there. We don't want that, especially in the ring. So the concept we're going to be working here is, again, utilizing body dynamics to propel us, as well as blade, as far as the handle and everything else, ergonomics, to cut into a variety of different cuts and moving into, eventually, into what I call the non-intuitive step, which I think that's what it's called, which allows us to propel further. And you see a lot of this in a lot of the tree sizes, regardless of wherever the master is. So the first purpose of this is to start up with foam tag. And we can start off simple right here. So your first combination is this. Right oberhau, I don't step. Right unterhau, and I step slightly offline but forward. If you can't tell, my hands, I'm pushing them out after the blade. I'm trying to. Remember, you're going to have a slight variant of that. But ideally, I mean, your hands are going to be forward just a little bit, but ideally you want to limit that time because the blade's coming out there and these are a valid target. So keep that in mind. So that's the first variant. The second one is going to be unterhau to unterhau. So in that one, again, you can tell my rear leg does not go forward. My left leg stays forward in this one because I'm still up here, and as I cut in. If it helps you come down to Nebenhut, then do so. I like to be able to shift around and keep this target position right here because it's very strong for me. But do as your ability is. So cutting right unterhau, not stepping, and then as you come across to cut the left, then stepping offline, straight, or off diagonally. So there you go. That's the second combination. So we have the right, right to right, right to left, and now we're going to do left to left. In this situation here, we're going to be going to the left foam tag, which is obviously for righties a weaker position, just like the righties for lefties, and variant this as you see fit. So it simply goes like this. You have all those positions in which you can move into. So we've gone right, right to right, right to left, left to left. Now it comes down to the ability of us going right to left, and so on and so forth, and spinning it up. So with those combination cutting, keep in mind your first cut, you want to keep that leg where it's at, and then the second step is where you're going to throw the second cut. There's a reason being here is because I have found in that variant, this is now charged. My calf, my hip flexor, and my glutes are charged. My leg is half cocked, and then all I have to do is pull up. It's literally pushing with my left and throwing the right. It makes it explosive and very dynamic as far as cutting is concerned. So that's something to keep in mind. So with that being the case, now that we have all those variety in there, we're also going to start throwing in our zwerchau's because we have the ability to use those as well. So in this situation, we have right to zwerch, which will be right to zwerch. Left to zwerch. Right unter to zwerch. Left unter to zwerch. So, with that being the case, you saw my body is twisted. I'm over exaggerating here, but it really allows for my core to really have I'm wound up and then release into another cut. You can utilize this also in a variety of different ways. If you're good at cutting failures, if you're good at flitting and pulling out of the bind, you can absolutely utilize this. The other thing that's nice about it too is you can land up thrusts. So I'll demonstrate that real fast here as well. Everyone knows Zone Ort. All the varieties there. So once you've done that, and we're only just doing the 2 compound cutting piece of it all, the next is to mix it up and make it a continual flow, but going forward and backwards with our stepping. If you notice, there's a few times there where I actually go to the more normal stepping, and by that I mean the sword's on the inside of my body on the one side. That's okay. If you get to there, I still do it. It's a reflex because it feels stable. But we're trying to build with the explosive power piece, which really works as support, okay? So with that being the case, do the combination cutting as you see fit, forward and back, and then moving into interval. If you're able to do more, if you want to do thrusts, by all means, I actually highly recommend that. The most devastating thing to do is get to a cut, wait for a second, see your opponent, and then thrust into their opening quarter because they're not expecting it. And if you can wind, just like we have within the second zone or play, wind utilizing your feet. Here's an example. Again, corkscrewing yourself into that position where you can land the cut. The last cutting drill, it really focuses a lot on unterhau variants, but I feel like it's also the best way to transition it. You can do zwerchau's. You see people do it all the time on videos. What I like to do with this is very simply, I'm walking forward and then walking back. You notice in this drill, you'll feel a lot of portion right here in your lower core and in your hip flexor, pulling that cut in the direction you want. Same thing can be said for as far as your unterhaus. Moving forward and back, forward and back. Increase your speed. And this is one thing I was telling before, as far as if you get really good with it, as far as you really want to get good to the speed as far as control is concerned, you can add and hasten your pace. Work on control and cutting into that quarter. If you're doing it for speed and try it for core, try to do the same thing. I still messed it up too, but try to keep that point in line, because that way you have the point right in their face. See? Point in the face. Point in the face. Point in the face. And I'm stepping back and forth with that. So, here's the kicking up notch version of this, and I hope that you guys like it, because it absolutely kicks my butt, but it's a good training piece for it all. So, doing that will absolutely destroy you. I hope it helps. You can see it's a lot more explosive building. Go at your pace. So that's the 20-minute challenge for July. A lot of controlling and moving into that, a lot of core workout, and a lot of utilizing other cuts, opposite cuts, that can create openings. So, again, as always, we have our cool down exercises. Cool down stretches. Hold them for 30 to 40 seconds if you want to get a good stretch in there. Let the muscles do their portion of it all. We're going to do our chest stretch, our back stretch, tricep stretch, both sides, shoulder stretch. And loosen the wrists up again as well. That'll help out quite a bit. Quad stretch. Calf stretch, which in this case right here. Straight leg. Touch forward. And then into your hip flexor. Switch sides. Of course, if you have a variety of other type of stretches out there, there's also a core stretch you can do. Somebody that do yoga might know it's that cobra pose. So, that's the 20-minute challenge. I hope you all enjoy it. I also want to say a special thanks to Lachlan from Warriors of Ash. Your work is amazing, and Helllllo has never felt better in my hands. Feels really good, brother. I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank everyone else out there that's actually come up to me and said thank you for this stuff. I had no idea. It's kind of cool. But the most important thing is I hope that everyone keeps training. I hope everyone keeps doing what they can to help themselves out. And if this helps you along your path, then I wish you the best. So continue to do what you have to do. And I hope to see you in the ring one day. And as always, fight on.